What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy. Welcome back to our Bible study. Alright, so we have got Numbers chapter 7 lined up for today. And, it's kind of long. Honestly, the recap so far is pretty short anyway. Just kind of counting Israelites' army and the Levites who would help with moving the tabernacle and whatnot. Essentially preparing people even further for, getting ready to go to the promised land. There have been some more laws brought up, and it would seem this kind of is in line with that as well. Maybe not laws so much as procedures to follow, at least in this case. I don't know, we'll see. I just figured that might be a more fitting term, given the little heading here about offerings of dedication. But we'll just have to see. Chapter's kind of long, so I'll stop rambling on. Okay. Numbers chapter 7. On the day Moses set up the tabernacle, he anointed it and set it apart as holy. He also anointed and set apart all its furnishings and the altar with its utensils. Then the leaders of Israel, the tribal leaders who had registered the troops, came and brought their offerings. Together they brought 6 large wagons and 12 oxen. There was a wagon for every 2 leaders and an ox for each leader. They presented these to the Lord in front of the tabernacle. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Receive their gifts, and use these oxen and wagons for transporting the tabernacle. Distribute them among the Levites according to the work they have to do." So Moses took the wagons and oxen and presented them to the Levites. He gave 2 wagons and 4 oxen to the Gershonite division for their work, and he gave 4 wagons and 8 oxen to the Merarite division for their work. All their work was done under the leadership of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. But he gave none of the wagons or oxen to the Kohathite division, since they were required to carry the sacred objects of the tabernacle on their shoulders. But so these oxen and wagons were essentially brought to Moses for use in, carrying the tabernacle as they traveled to the promised land. But since the stuff for the inner tent had to be carried on the shoulders of the people, then it was like, well, it makes no sense to give them any of the wagons or oxen. I don't necessarily remember reading before that all that stuff had to be carried on their shoulders, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this is wrong either. Because if it didn't mention it before and now it's just adding more detail, yeah, sure, whatever. That both can be true. Anywho, I'm going to have to talk a lot less if we're going to progress through this chapter with any decent speed. So, moving on, verse 10. The leaders also presented dedication gifts for the altar at the time it was anointed. They each placed their gifts before the altar. The Lord said to Moses, "Let one leader bring his gift each day for the dedication of the altar." And I think most of the rest of this chapter is just going to be covering those gifts. So, on the first day, Nahshon, son of Amminadab, leader of the tribe of Judah, presented his offering. His offering consisted of a silver platter weighing 3¼ pounds and a silver basin weighing 1¾ pounds, as measured by the weight of the sanctuary shekel. These were both filled with grain offerings of choice flour moistened with olive oil. He also brought a gold container weighing 4 ounces, which was filled with incense. He brought a young bull, a ram, and a 1-year-old male lamb for a burnt offering, and a male goat for a sin offering. For a peace offering, he brought 2 bulls, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 one-year-old male lambs. This was the offering brought by Nashon, son of Amminadab. Okay. So, I mean, we've covered in previous rules about offerings and things like that, about, the lambs being offered, or just animals in general being offered. But there was extra brought as, I guess, it's sort of implied that, the silver platter and basin were to then be kept by Moses and or the priests. So, I mean, it doesn't say that outright, but the way that it's worded, saying that his offering consisted of these items as well, that, yeah, those were part of it too. I mean, it makes a bit of sense, though, for, the leaders of the tribes to sort of go above and beyond what is quote-unquote necessary for offerings. I just kind of wonder at this point what some of the differences might end up being between some of these offerings. Footnote there is just about the weights and what they originally said in Hebrew, just based on the number of shekels instead of pounds, supposedly. And then footnote there, again, shekels. All right. I'm just going to move right along. Verse 18. On the second day, Nethanel, son of Zuar, leader of the tribe of Issachar, presented his offering. His offering consisted of a silver platter weighing 3¼ pounds and a silver basin weighing 1¾ pounds, as measured by the weight of the sanctuary shekel. These were both filled with grain offerings of choice flour moistened with olive oil. He also brought a gold container weighing 4 ounces, which was filled with incense. He brought a young bull, a ram, a 1-year-old male lamb for a burnt offering, and a male goat for a sin offering. For a peace offering, he brought 2 bulls, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 1-year-old male lambs. This was the offering brought by Nethanel, son of Zuar. Okay, I don't know if you noticed my eyes, kind of shifting up and down a little bit as I was reading through that. I was checking to see if this offering was exactly the same as Nashon's. And yes, that they're both exactly the same, which, I don't think it was laid out beforehand that they had to give these exact things for their offerings. And yet, so I may end up kind of speeding even more so through some of these verses if they're going to be that repetitious. But, and then I'll wait to say more on that after I get through all this. But I have a thought if they do all end up being exactly the same like that. So, verse 24. On the third day, Eliab, son of Helon, leader of the tribe of Zebulun, presented his offering. His offering consisted of a silver platter weighing 3¼ pounds and a silver basin weighing 1¾ pounds, as measured by the sanctuary shekel. These were both filled with grain offerings of choice flour moistened with olive oil. He also brought a gold container weighing 4 ounces, which was filled with incense. He brought a young bull, a ram, and a 1-year-old male lamb for a burnt offering, a male goat for a sin offering. For a peace offering, he brought 2 bulls, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 1-year-old male lambs. This is the offering brought by Eliab, son of Helon. Still the exact same so far. Maybe I'll just say this now. Each tribe leader bringing an equal offering, to me, would just kind of further hammer in the point that whatever the numbers might have been, whatever the populations of each tribe, they were still viewed as equally important and thus worthy of equal offerings. But again, the fact that this just happened with seemingly no instruction to do so, to make the offerings exactly the same, is just like, either that was a straight up work of God in the hearts and minds of these leaders, or they had actually gotten together previously and discussed it. But anyway, just, I don't know. I thought it might be interesting taking note of that too. So, we are now 3 days in. Verse 30. On the fourth day, Eleazar, son of Shedeur, the leader of the tribe of Reuben, presented his offering. His offering consisted of a silver platter weighing 3¼ pounds, a silver basin weighing 1¾ pounds, measured by the sanctuary shekel, both filled with grain offerings of choice flour moistened with olive oil. Brought a gold container weighing 4 ounces, which was filled with incense. Brought a young bull, ram, and a 1-year-old male lamb for a burnt offering, male goat for a sin offering, for peace offering, 2 bulls, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 1-year-old male lambs. This is the offering brought by Eleazar, son of Shedeur. Okay, so far, exactly the same. I might just kind of skim through the rest of this, actually, if that's going to be the case. Verse 36. On the 5th day, Shelumiel, son of Zurishaddai, leader of the tribe of Simeon, presented his offering. And platter and basin are the same. Grain offerings with olive oil. Gold container weighing 4 ounces with incense. Young bull, ram, 1-year-old male lamb for burnt offering. Sin offerings the same. Peace offering, same. Okay. On the 6th day, Eliasaph, son of Duo, leader of the tribe of Gad, presented his offering. And I imagine it's going to look very much the same as well. It makes me wonder a little bit what Moses and the priests would have thought. The fact that they got the exact same set of offerings every single day during this time frame. On the 7th day, verse 48, yeah. On the 7th day, Elishama, son of Ammihud, leader of the tribe of Ephraim, presented his offering. Skimming through it, it looks to be the same. Yeah, not seeing any obvious differences, and why would there be at this point? Verse 54, on the 8th day, Gamaliel, son of Pedazur, leader of the tribe of Manasseh, presented his offering of the same kind. I pretty much have to presume at this point. On the 9th day, Abidan, son of Gideoni, leader of the tribe of Benjamin, presented his offering. Again, seems to be exactly the same. I'm just kind of double checking to make sure, because it's going to seem really weird at this point if it's not. I'm also trying to make sure my theory or my idea of, all the tribes being equally important still holds. Because if any of them are different, then that idea goes out the window. Verse 66, on the 10th day, Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai, leader of the tribe of Dan, presented his offering. And I'm realizing some of these names I may be pronouncing differently this time compared to how I did previous times that they came up. Apologies for the inconsistency and any confusion that may result from that. But, I'm not exactly studied in Hebrew and how these names would have been pronounced. On the 11th day, Pagiel, son of Okran, leader of the tribe of Asher, presented his offering, which appears to be exactly the same once again. Okay, and on the 12th day, Ahira, son of Anan, leader of the tribe of Naphtali, presented his offering of exactly the same things. Verse 84. So this was the dedication offering brought by the leaders of Israel at the time the altar was anointed. 12 silver platters, 12 silver basins, and 12 gold incense containers. Each silver platter weighed 3¼ pounds, and each silver basin weighed 1¾ pounds. The total weight of the silver was 60 pounds, as measured by the weight of the sanctuary shekel. Each of the 12 gold containers that was filled with incense weighed 4 ounces. The total weight of the gold was 3 pounds. 12 young bulls, 12 rams, 12 one-year-old male lambs were donated for burnt offerings, along with their prescribed grain offerings. Maybe the grain offerings that it mentions here were the ones on the platters and the basins and whatnot, because it mentioned those being filled with the grain offerings before. Now the order's a little bit different, but those grain offerings were actually the prescribed ones to go along with the other burnt offerings. Anyway, 12 male goats were brought for the sin offerings. 24 bulls, 60 rams, 60 male goats, and 61-year-old male lambs were donated for the peace offerings. This was the dedication offering for the altar after it was anointed. And that was for the altar. Just the altar. Anyway, verse 89. Whenever Moses went into the tabernacle to speak with the Lord, he heard the voice speaking to him from between the 2 cherubim above the ark's cover, the place of atonement that rests on the Ark of the Covenant. The Lord spoke to him from there. Footnoted Ark of the Covenant is just Ark of the Testimony. Other footnotes for, weight measurements and whatnot, just giving you the traditional Hebrew. So, I guess, the tabernacle and stuff needs to be sort of, dedicated, christened, if you like to use that word, for use before they, shipped off to the promised land. So, I wouldn't be surprised if there were more chapters after this talking about further dedication of other parts of the tabernacle. But we'll have to see. That is actually going to do it for this time. I really have no further thoughts on all of this. It's pretty self-explanatory, really. Alright, so I hope you all didn't mind the kind of skimming over the repetitive parts of that chapter. It was literally all exactly the same thing, just from the different leaders. Anyway, as always, like and share if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get updates when I post new videos. Look down in the description to get info on other social media pages and all that good stuff. And leave comments below there with any thoughts you have. So that's it for now. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you for the next chapter. But until then, stay cool, people.